the atmosphere of the South Korean military was again stirred up by shocking news involving one of the world's biggest idols, Cha Eun-woo ASTRO. No one would have thought that, in the midst of a life of discipline and the rigors of military training, a star like Eun-woo actually experienced something that made millions of fans around the world hold their breath. This news first circulated through whispers from several internal sources who witnessed firsthand the events on the ground. "I couldn't believe it with my own eyes," said a young soldier whose identity has been withheld. "Everything was going normally, until suddenly a screaming sound was heard in the training area. And all eyes immediately turned towards Eun-woo. Yes, Eun-woo, known for his handsome face, athletic build, and undeniable charisma, apparently suffered a sudden injury during one of the notoriously strenuous physical training sessions in the military. This moment instantly made the whole army pause, including the commander, who was famous for his decisiveness. For fans, just hearing this news was enough to make their hearts flutter. Imagine, an idol who has only been seen on the screen with a charming smile, now has to face the rigors of physical exercise until his body cannot withstand the pressure. However, what made the public even more curious was not only about the injury, but how the commander reacted when he saw this incident firsthand. Will the commander be furious because he thinks Eun-woo is weak? Or is it the rarely shown human side of the usually cold and uncompromising military figure? These questions are now filling the netizen comment space on various platforms. In fact, the hashtags #StayStrongEunwoo and #ChaEunwooMilitary immediately topped the world's trending topics in just hours after this news was posted. Ever since Eun-woo's initial enlistment was announced, fans have been preparing themselves to see her idol live away from the camera spotlight. No one was prepared to hear if he was injured. Fans know that life in the military is not a world full of glitter like a concert stage. There are no professional cameras, no fancy lighting, and no makeup artists at the ready. There was only sweat, dirt, the sound of the commander's screams, and exhausting physical exercises. Cha Eun-woo, who has always maintained the image of the perfect man, is now forced to face a very different reality. "I can't imagine Eun-woo having to lie in pain on the ground," one fan wrote on Twitter. "He who always looked strong and tough, now it is fragile in front of his fellow soldiers." This is what makes fans even more curious. What kind of training actually caused Eun-woo to get injured? Is it long-distance running with heavy weights? Do push-ups exercise up to hundreds of times without stopping? Or is it a risky exercise in military tactics? If you watch this news on YouTube, the opening of the video will feature a highlight of Eun-woo's downcast face in his military uniform, accompanied by a dramatic narration. No one expected that, behind the smile and determination of a big star, there was a moment that made the whole barracks fall silent. Cha Eun-woo, an idol who is currently serving his country, has to face a test that is more severe than any stage: an injury during military training. The narrator then adds, "What really happened on the field? And how did the commander react when he saw the incident firsthand?" Before the real facts were revealed, social media was already flooded with comments from fans. "I hope it's not a serious injury, my heart can't hear it." The commander should know that Eun-woo is no ordinary soldier. He is also a public figure loved by millions. "I applaud Eun-woo for trying so hard despite the injury. That's a sign he's really trying." All of these comments show how much attention the public pays to Eun-woo. No matter where he is in the barracks, away from the entertainment world, every second of his life remains in the spotlight. Increased tension. Internal sources said that before the injury occurred, the training atmosphere was normal. The soldiers marched, followed the commander's instructions, and performed the scheduled routine. Eun-woo herself looked serious, no signs of fatigue. However, suddenly there was a loud thumping sound, followed by a short shout that made everyone turn their heads. Eun-woo fell down. The atmosphere that had been full of enthusiasm turned into silence, all waiting for orders from the commander. And here comes the point that makes everyone wonder, what did Eun-woo actually do to fall? This news channel obviously doesn't want to divulge everything right away. They withhold the most important information in order to keep the audience waiting with increasing curiosity. The day actually started as usual. The sun had just risen. Its rays broke through between the windows of the barracks. The atmosphere was still fresh, but the cold morning air pierced the skin. The soldiers, including Cha Eun-woo, were already prepared in full uniforms, boots, and standard equipment. In the military, it makes no difference who you are on the outside. No one cares if you're a celebrity, a K-pop star, or an ordinary person. Once you put on the uniform, all the same a soldier. Eun-woo realizes that from the beginning, and that's what makes her try her hardest not to be considered special. However, it is precisely that determination that makes him sometimes overexert himself. That day, training focused on *** physical endurance training ***. The commander gave instructions for each soldier to perform a combination of running with full weight, push-ups, sit-ups until the exercise crept through the mud track. Eun-woo, with a tall posture and a face that always attracts attention, keeps his head down seriously. He knew all eyes were secretly watching him, not just his fellow soldiers, but also the superiors. "Don't let anyone think I'm weak," she thought. Training begins. The clatter of feet stomped the ground, the sound of panting breathing began to be heard, and grains of sweat poured out. Eun-woo ran with a heavy weight on her back. Despite the apparent fatigue, he continued to advance, even several times being in the front row. Fellow soldiers were amazed to see his persistence. "He's really serious, I salute you," said one of them, but others are worried. "I think he's pushing himself too hard. Look at his face, it's pale." The workout continues into push-ups and sit-up sessions. All the soldiers looked down, hands on the ground, faces full of dust. The commander shouted on cue, his voice echoing loudly in the field. 50 more! Nobody stop! Cha Eun-woo tries to follow. His arm muscles tightened, sweat soaked his uniform. His breath was short, but his eyes were still looking straight ahead. Until finally, at the end of the session, his body began to falter. He paused for a moment, but soon resumed. Unfortunately, on the last push-up, a small noise is heard from his arms, like a forcibly pulled muscle. Eun-woo's face turned tense, and the next instant, his body lost its balance. He fell to the ground, lying down with an expression of enduring pain. All the soldiers were silent. The sound of footsteps that used to be very quiet. Even the birds flying over the field seemed to stop chirping. In a military situation, the one who determines the next step is the commander. All the soldiers are just waiting. If the commander considers it a weakness, it could be that Eun-woo was forced to rise. But if the commander sees it seriously, there may be other measures. The commander walked over, his footsteps heavy and steady. His face was cold, his eyes sharp. All the soldiers held their breath. "Cha Eun-woo." The commander's voice sounded firm but quiet. All eyes were on the two of them. This is the moment that makes Barack speechless. The commander, who was known to be firm, finally showed a reaction that no one expected. How did he see Eun-woo fall? Listen carefully. As it turned out, instead of anger, the commander uttered words that shocked all the soldiers. "Wake up if you can. But if not, do not insist. You've shown more than enough courage." That sentence, spoken in a deep but sincere voice, left everyone speechless. They knew getting such recognition from a commander was not an easy thing. Even Eun-woo himself looked shocked. With a face full of sweat and enduring pain, he looked at the commander, as if seeking reassurance that the words were really meant for him. The commander then added, "You're not here to prove it to the world. You're here to learn to survive with those by your side. Remember that." The moment immediately became the subject of conversation. Many soldiers silently salute Eun-woo. They saw him fall but also saw how he got recognition from the commander.